Okay, great. Stream is up and running. This one goes there, that one goes there. Let me mess with the settings. Yeah, it looks like a security setting that Zoom is enforcing. Let's see what I can do about it. Hello, Heather. How goes it? Sorry about the Zoom thing. I'm gonna see if I can fix it. Oh.
Ready.
Well, ready or not, here we come. Hey, YouTube. How's it going? Hope everything is going just dandy over there. Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about, including what in the world is happening with our hosts right now. So let's just jump right into it. Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Aaron Julian, and this is WSTR, Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 257. We hope you and yours are well, and with everything crazy going on, we want to continue to be a platform that promotes positivity, life, and hope. And a little Star Wars along the way. Why not? Today, we're a week late to the punch, as always, with our accursed release schedule, but we're taking a look at chapters 5 through 7 of the Book of Boba Fett. We've got a book report coming up here. Hope y'all are ready. But before we ride our bantha off into the sunset, let's see who we got here. Miss Carla Giacalone.
Hi, everybody.
And, of course. And Mr. Todd Hoffman.
Hi, everybody. I'm here too. There we go. Hi.
What if you got stuck like that?
I'm Boba Fett. Got stuck. It's crazy.
Oh, our dear podcast listeners who are not watching the live stream right now, Todd had his Boba Fett hoodie on. Yeah, hood over his head, fully zipped up, could not see, almost stuck himself in place. And Miss Heather Allred.
Hey, everybody. I have no Boba swag,
Neither do I. You're in good company.
but I have Chip and Dale, so
Perfect.
look
That's all you need. All right, Heather.
Oh, yes,
You've had a few weeks off from the news, so
I'm here.
now's your chance to shine.
All right, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears to the news teasers. Numero uno. Open the call.
So,
Don't know for what, but you should be there. And number two, we have, are you not entertained?
nice.
Yes. And then number three, to the unknown regions.
Ooh.
Regions.
She's back for the echo.
I dig it.
Ugh,
All right.
that's it. That's all I got.
That means it can mean only one thing. Time for our main topic.
All right. Well, we're back at it. Like Aaron said, we are going to be looking at Chapter 5, Chapter 6, and Chapter 7 of the Book of Boba Fett. So let's talk about this back half. This trilogy. We like threes here. So why don't we talk about our overall impressions before we get into each episode? Plan for you. Let's start with Heather.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, they were okay.
Okay.
No, they were quite enjoyable. I believe during episode 6 or 7, it may have been 7. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I messaged the podcast friends and were saying things like, "What am I watching?" And
Right.
it was pretty exciting stuff. I feel like a lot of the things that I want to talk about would be spoiler related. So
Okay. Well, we can land
will-
there. We could just.
I will pause for the time
Right.
being.
Gotcha. Okay, Carla.
I mean, if we're spoiler free right now, I mean, epic is really just the one label to slap on it. So, yeah, very exciting stuff. I really liked it. Like, jaw hit the floor at this part, that part. So, yeah, excellent way to close that little book
Gotcha.
that we got.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Aaron?
Well, Todd, if this was a gymnastics routine at the Olympics, chapters 1 through 4, kind of stumble out of the gate, whoa, almost lose balance. And then with 5, 6, and 7, just did like an unexpected backflip and managed to stick the landing, mostly.
Mostly. Okay. Aaron, you're sounding like a dust android.
You're a robot.
Fix one problem. Yeah. Sorry, YouTube. Help us get this sorted. Okay.
Mr. Roboto.
Which one of us is sounding robot-y? Is it me? Is it?
We're good
it was
now.
you. It was you. You were good.
It was
now.
me. Of course,
Okay.
it was me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Click.
Okay, YouTube chat. Are we still messed up? Check.
Do we all need to say something?
Something.
Name call.
This is the weird thing. I can check things like on my end, but for some weird reason it could sound fine to me, and then out to YouTube it's just anything goes. Nicole's saying we're all good.
I personally, I love Robot Aaron.
we haven't had Robo Aaron in quite some time.
I know.
It's one of my favorite features because it just all of a sudden happens, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm in Star Wars. Like I'm talking to
I know. I need that glitch like as a plugin I can use in my software. So okay, everybody on the live chat is saying we're good. So let's go ahead. Where do we leave off?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you were using an Olympic reference about gymnastics and landing. I think that's where we're at.
Okay, yes. So if Book of Boba Fett was an Olympic event, a gymnastics routine, chapters 1 through 4 is, they're going out onto the mat and kind of losing their balance and whoa, almost took a tumble here or there. And then chapters 5 through 7 is like they use the momentum of their fall to like go into this handspring backflip, and it's like, whoa, where did that come from? And then they stuck the landing almost.
Aaron, we're in the Winter Olympics, so but I'll let it slide.
Yeah, whatever.
I got you. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we got real chatty after chapter 6, and we'll get into that in just a second. I think that was probably one of the most exciting episodes of this season. My big problem, it didn't have anything to do with Boba Fett. So, that's it. This one should have been called like Boba Fett and Friends. Yeah, that's probably my take on this. Is like it. We need a little bit more of Boba, but it's still some good Star Wars. So.
Yeah, it wasn't a book of Boba Fett. It was like a blog post of Boba Fett.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The live journal of Boba Fett. Who remembers live journal?
Wow.
Right. Yeah. All right. So why don't we go? Let's step into it here. Let's go with chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. I mean,
she killed it.
She could direct anything. I'm good with Bryce Dallas Howard. I thought
she killed it.
Yeah, she nailed the look. I thought this was one of the fullest episodes where you got out. It didn't look like they were just in the volume, if you know what I mean. Like felt like big, and I love that part of it. The memes were heavy, but like instead of Leo, Master Chief sitting in the seat and points, I'm like, this is great. Looks like Halo. Yeah. I love it. I love the Ring
World,
Planet.
baby.
Yeah, Ring Planet. There's that other meme, or it's like a little video where everybody's at the bar and like there's like a big screen and they show like Mando coming out of like the meat locker and everybody's like, yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was cool seeing Mando right away.
Can we just talk about that moment real quick? Because Mando is, a more recent character of Star Wars, but like, how awesome is it that as soon as that silhouette walked into, those like blurry kind of plastic curtain things, you instantly knew like he's back. And it's just like, that's iconic. Like, he is now like staple, iconic Star Wars character. And to me, that was just so cool. Loved it. Yeah, was perfect.
He's kind of, like anything with the mass superhero now, he has his own kind of swagger and his walk, and you identify with them immediately, and that's super cool. Heather, you're gonna say something.
Well, yeah, I feel like when we first meet Mando, I know we're talking about Boba Fett, but just stay with me. In the first episode of the season 1 of The Mandalorian, we get basically a silhouette shot. So it's been ingrained in us to know exactly who he is.
Yeah.
So it's synergy. Is that a word? Synergy. Let's run a synergy.
Synergy is definitely a word.
Thank you.
Hey, we had prequely last week. Synergy is fine.
Great.
All right, so we get Mando and the Rocky Balboa set. Whatever Nerf herder thing, whatever they're doing.
Meatpacking facility.
Kletunians. Yeah, we got Kletunians, which are like the dog-faced people, if you will, of the Star Wars universe, and he's looking for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And he finds the guy in the back. Very kind of backdoor mafia stuff, like count some credits and like, hey man, that's not me, And then we get our line that we got really from, as Heather said, from season 1. I could bring in warm or I could bring in cold. What'd you guys think of this whole scene right here?
It's just classic like gangster cowboy stuff. It's just him. It partially feels like The Godfather, partially feels like just your regular Ronin cowboy nonsense. Such a breath of fresh air compared to the rest of the show. And by that I mean you have this very clearly defined character. Helps that we've gotten to know and love him up to this point. But you know exactly why he's there and what he's doing and what his goals are and what everybody else, what they're doing there, what their goals are. And that was missing from a lot of the show up to this point. So I don't think you can chalk it up just to liking Din Djarin more than Boba Fett. And that's why you like the episode so much. It's just so clearly and effortlessly written that we immediately know the setup and the stakes and everything that goes with it.
Right.
It's also our first. Sorry, Todd.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. This is our first time seeing him since the tragic separation of Mando and, little baby Yoda, aka the child, aka kid, aka Grogu. Name of your choice, fill in the blank. And so it's an interesting shot, like with what you guys have been saying, that you've kind of got this gangster mob feel, and he's just trying to get the job done. And for me, I had this moment of like, oh my gosh, he's just back to like getting the job done. What happened to Dad, who is taking care of our little youngling? So it was this interesting, like, oh my gosh. And I wonder if that's why we're all like feeling those vibes, because we literally went back to what we originally knew, even though in the back of our minds we knew he was heartbroken.
Oh,
I said it.
And we were too.
But we get a little, we get a little Darksaber action. And he injures himself, but at the same time, he cuts off the dude's head, and we get blood.
I know. Say it ain't so.
What is happening here?
All those fools saying that lightsabers cauterize wounds and there can't possibly be blood in Star Wars. Bet they're feeling a little bit sheepish right now.
Lies, deception.
It's green blood. This is Disney after all, but it was a is a bit brutal than what we've been led to believe so far. So, yeah, felt like I had some weight.
Yes, exactly. So then he, luckily, conveniently, the bounty's not far, the reward. So he gets on an elevator and has a little run-in with the alien. It's like, whoa, I don't know what's going on here, but this dude get an awkward elevator scene. We love our awkward elevator scenes in Star Wars.
That was Chris Bartlett, by the way. An alien.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we might as well plug it now. We're gonna have Chris Bartlett on in March. There you go. Hey-o! Hey-o!
Spoilers.
Always be plugging. So then we get an Ishi Tib alien who is also seen in Return of the Jedi, and it's a girl, and she wants Mando to just sit around and eat with them.
Do you think that was a bit of a weird request?
Yes. Considering we know the code, we understand the code, or think we understand the code, and Mando don't eat, so
Yeah, I think there's kind of two ways to take this. It could either just be, this is background filler. This is Mandalorian. He's already he's working, and this is just the relationship that they have where he's just trying to get jobs. And it's a means to an end in this particular case to figure out where the coven is. But and this is just, hey, if you're not busy, got another job for you, stick around. And he's saying, no, this is urgent. This is important to him. Another way to read it is we have a little inkling later on about what's going on in the bounty hunter sphere, about big employers who might want some important jobs, some muscle on a certain sandy planet, and maybe that offer was going to be for Din, and he just never heard it because he was already on his way.
Interesting. Okay, I could dig that. Yeah, or it's just ignorance of the kind of Mandalorian culture. I mean, we got two kind of sects of like this view and that view, and yeah, maybe she's had dealings with other Mandos, and they take their helmets off. It's okay.
Maybe so. Yeah.
So
he could just be all business.
Right. Exactly. But so she gives them the information of another covert little alcove of the old where the Mandos are, and he limps his way to there, and we get the armorer again.
Yes.
Love me some armorer. What do you guys think of this whole scene with the armorer and the big muscle, the heavy Mando?
Has Vizsla.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to see any of them again.
Mm-hmm.
So
No.
it was cool to have them come back into the story. I like how what does the armor say about Bo-Katan? What's like the line? Because he mentions her, like Mando mentions her, and
she's a cautionary tale.
Like, yeah. So you could tell there's some tension. Tension. It's a little tight in here. But so I'm curious to see where the armorer's story is going to go, because I don't think this is it. I think the Darksaber is going to come into play here big time with her, and Paz Vizsla, and we don't know where Bo-Katan is right now. What is she doing? What happened on that ship?
Yeah. I mean, we get a cool flashback here. We get to see the Purge of Mandalore. Gosh, I love this scene. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much.
Terminator?
Terminator style, Judgment Day. You again get to see the power of the Imperial might, and they literally just send a couple squadrons of TIE bombers and bomb the whole place. And then we get the kind of
K2s
moment where we get the K2s and the probe droids just looking for Mandalorians to clean up shop. And I'm just like, yo, this is dirty.
They nuked Mandalore.
Right.
basically.
Right. If you're savvy on this, in the Rebels, Sabine had a part to play in this. So that's another interesting thing. But it was a cool little flashback. Didn't think that was coming. And then we get we talked about this in the chat. So she doesn't like the spear. She's like, yeah, what you get, why you got that? And he's like, oh, it's made of pure Beskar. And she's like, can't have that because you could pierce or you could use it against other Mandalorians. But she made whistling birds for him that were also made out of Beskar. So what's going on here, Aaron? Tell me what's going on here.
I'm thinking they have some contradictions in their beliefs. I'm glad you brought this up because going back to the what did she call it? The Night of 1,000 something, or just the Great Jedi Purge?
Tears.
Yeah, Night of 1,000 Tears.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to that, when she first told that story, and she basically blamed it on Bo-Katan because she describes it as the Darksaber is cursed, and if it's ever like seized by a Mandalorian who did not earn it in combat, then all the nations of Mandalore would be cursed. And when she told that story, I thought it was very interesting that she took this Mandalorian purge, and the way I interpreted it was the story that she told and the curse and everything was this kind of explanatory story to basically describe how their weirdo Mando cult managed to survive when everybody else didn't. And to me, it's like, oh, isn't that convenient that because you guys were holed up on Concordia, that you survived and everybody else didn't. And you read that event through your own interpretive framework. Yeah, through your own filter of your weirdo edge fringe beliefs, and construct this story to make sense of it. That's what I thought. But then it seems like that curse might actually be a thing, or at least Bo-Katan believes in it, because if you remember at the end of Mando Season 2, when Din tries to give her the Darksaber, she's like, ain't doing that again. And she has this mix of anger and pain on her face. She had wanted to basically redeem herself by defeating Moff Gideon in combat and like winning the Darksaber fair and square, and Din took that chance from her. And then we'll get into it later, but she might have a chance to go on a little adventure with Din in the future.
Yeah. So there's like this kind of Jedi Padawan moment. She's trying to, let him. Well, first she melts down the spear. She's like, "Hey, you can't have that spear." Part of me feels like if you're looking for the contradiction thing is like the Whistling Birds is controlled by Mando, where anyone can pick up a spear essentially if he loses it in combat and kill a Mando. So that's the only thing I can think of, that it's anybody could wield that. Except like with the Whistling Birds, like the Mandalorian controls that part of his armor or whatever. But anyways, she melts it down and makes a tiny little gift for our buddy Grogu. He's like, I need somebody for the little guy, So anyways, we get that little thing, and then she's trying to teach him about the Darksaber and how it's similar to what Kanan tells Sabine when she tells a Darksaber, like it's very, you have to of it, and it like Mando saying it's very heavy, and she's like, you're conflicted and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, hey, we've kind of heard this before. So it's very Jedi-ish. And then Paz sees an opening. He's like, I want to challenge you to a duel, because that it's in his family's bloodline, basically from pre-Vizsla. So what do you guys think of this scene?
Well, Todd, since you asked,
Yes, I did.
It's significant that it's Paz Vizsla, of all people, descendant of Pre-Vizsla, both Jon Favreau, descendant of Tar Vizsla, the actual maker of the Darksaber. So he probably feels like he has some kind of familial right to this weapon. And it's interesting that it seems like this weapon has a mind of its own, that if you're not in tune with it, and if you're not allowing it to guide you, that it's basically going to work against you, or at least it's not going to cooperate with you. And I've read some theories about why this might be, as far as putting an essence of your connection to the Force into the crystal that you use when you build your lightsaber. I don't know how far that goes or how accurate that is, but it's very interesting. I like that we have this kind of unique weapon with its own rules in Star Wars, instead of it just being like another tool.
Right. Cool. Yeah. So they have a big fight. And Mando wins. He wins. We have a place with no guardrails. The safety is off even on this ring planet, no guardrails.
No ocean.
But he wins. Hooray. And so we have the dilemma. Did you take off your helmet? And Mando's like, yeah, I did.
Gotta fess up.
And so she said, so this is where I'm getting a little confused. So she basically says, hey, you got to go to this fountain on Mandalore to take a sprinkle so you can purge of your sins, basically, and then you'd be okay. But Din's like, well, wasn't that destroyed in the purge? Yeah, it is. So
sucks to suck.
So he can never be a Mandalorian again. Heather, what do you think of this?
Yeah, so I've been waiting for this moment, because this was the whole conversation with the armorer is always just fascinating to me. And I don't know if it's her look, I don't know if it's her vocal tone, but you just want to listen to her. She's kind of one of those, like, yeah, that's fine. Anybody who's British can read me a phone book. That's fine. Just keep talking. And she's just so set in these like ancient ways that there's zero room for any sort of adjustment. And I think we've learned, she might not have, but we as, the fans have learned through other Star Wars media outlets, there has to be room for change. There has to be room for flexibility and with what you believe. And so what I found interesting during the whole helmet conversation, this is what really hit me, was this whole idea of, we met Boba Fett back in the day, right? And he was a bounty hunter, but he's wearing Mandalorian armor. We didn't know much about the Mandalorian creeds and the peoples and the whatever, but we just knew he never took his helmet off. But that's because what? They just never explained it. He was a bounty hunter. Okay, fine. We accepted it. Then, fast forward and we're meeting all these potentially other ones, blah, blah, blah. A stormtrooper has never taken their helmet off. I mean, we've seen this thing. Fast forward to Mando, where we're reintroduced to this creed and this whole thing. But for there to be character development, for there to be any sort of storytelling, you have to shift the ancient lore. And as someone who's a believer and believes in something, it's not always just because I stand in my garage, it doesn't make me a car. So, and that's corny. And I feel like you may have heard that before, but sometimes it's not just about putting on a helmet and being like, I'm a Mandalorian. He all but, talks about, his connection with Grogu and how, the Jedi are not supposed to have attachments, which goes against the Mandalorian creed of loyalty and solidarity. And it's like, but loyalty doesn't necessarily go with solidarity. And then putting that into the Book of Boba Fett, I'm here to tell you, Boba Fett's kind of a loyal guy. He's connected to Fennec. He saved Fennec's life. He is out there fighting for his new town and doing the things that need to be done. So to me, this was a very fascinating conversation of what defines a Mandalorian, what defines that creed. Is this the time where, our Star Wars creators are kind of like, we'll just add a little spice of this and a little, dash of that and like kind of change up our thought process? That's the part that got me excited about this particular scene.
I'm glad you brought that up because as we'll see later, I think this episode was extremely important for Din Djarin as a character because he's in a pretty delicate place right now. He's lost his RV, his home, his car. He's lost his rifle. He's lost his spear. He's lost his son. He's lost his tribe. He's lost his status as a Mandalorian. He's got nothing left. And what we see here with the armorer is that, she's not a bad person. She's not trying to, just like kick sand in Din Djarin's face. But she exactly. She's trying to help him in like the best way that she knows how. And it's holding on to this like strict dogmatic ancient tradition. And as far as she's concerned, like that's the thing that kept him alive during the Night of 1,000 Tears. So that's obviously what she's going to recommend to Din. But as we see with him having removed his helmet, the very kind of way of life and everything that he knows that was supposed to protect him and be that kind of shining beacon throughout his life is suddenly turned its back on him in kind of self-defense because he committed a cardinal sin. And it's like, well, what is he supposed to do now? I find that really fascinating, and we'll get into it. But there's another character that shows up that kind of shows him a alternative path.
Well, glad you brought that up because Bryce Dallas Howard directed the episode where we meet Bo-Katan.
Yes,
and they're just ripping off helmets left and right, and that's where. She is telling Din everything you believed is they're kind of the bad guys. This Death Watch, this sect of Death Watch, which we know of in the Clone Wars, wanted to be a true Mandalorian and be warriors. And, it's totally different than what, Sestine believed and all this stuff. So there's this whole kind of backstory that we know from the Clone Wars. And this is presented at, with Din, and that was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. And now we come back to it, and she's basically, the armor's telling Din, you are a disgrace and you are no longer a Mandalorian. And so I kind of agree with Heather. It's like he's desperately trying to find his tribe, similar to what we get with Boba. And now the tribe, the two of them, don't want anything to do with him. And it's like, okay, where does this leave me? You know?
Right.
But isn't that what Star Wars has always been?
Yes.
Is what is your identity? Where do you fit? Who are you?
And what's your family? And who are your friends? And who do you trust? And sometimes you have to you have to believe in yourself, you know? And he's finding, you know, as we're finding that this place is a bigger world, you know? So
maybe that's, I think this is the major setup for season 3.
Yeah.
Like, yes, like, you know, the next episode and the final episode we'll talk about, because there's a lot there too that's to set up. But
yeah, we got to get moving, and we're never.
This was the little like, okay, like you had these first 4 episodes mainly about Boba Fett.
Right.
But like, yeah, this was the major like lob. And then season 3 is gonna come in and it's gonna come in hard.
Yeah.
Pump set spike.
So he leaves basically looking for he obviously was searching for them, found them, and now he's got to leave in with the kind of his tail between his legs. But he was able to take the dark saber. He's like, hey, yes. So he took it, and then he's got to take local transport to Tatooine. And I love this little bit with the Rex droid, and he's got to empty all his armaments into this little container thing. I just love this little bit.
The TSA.
So awesome.
Star Wars.
Yeah, TSA thing. He has he doesn't really have a trust in droids, all that stuff. It's great. Then he gets on the transport, and we get the little Rodidian kid. I just love that little part where he like turns around and is like, hey man, you're cool, you know.
What's up?
What's up? What's up, man? You see my jetpack right here. So then we get to Tatooine, and we got our girl.
Todd,
back.
You skipped over the best part.
Oh.
What's the best part?
So he's stuck on the bus because he doesn't have a car, and he sees this little green child, and he reaches in and pulls out the little bundle, the gift for Grogu, and it looks like his head.
Yes.
Oh, my heart.
I cried, guys.
As soon as she passed that little knapsack, I'm like, I was like, this kind of looks like even before that, and when she handed it to him, like, I'm pretty sure that looked like Grogu, but I didn't get like a real good look, you know. And but yeah, when he really looks at it for the first time, you're like, oh man,
you know what he's thinking about.
Symbolism, my boy, Dadalorian, get choked up. So he goes to Pelly's, you know, he goes to Docky Bay 35, and she's getting eaten by a womp rat.
As you do.
Just in the nick of time, and we get to see another cool droid, a BD unit, which is, if you're familiar with Jedi Fallen Order, you squealed like a little whatever Jawa kid, whatever. And that
I did.
Cal Kestis little droid.
I was ready for a Cal cameo, but then
I was ready for a Cal cameo. I'm like, if they're gonna pull out the stops and they're showing a BD, I was like, now is this the real BD unit that you know? So, anyways, we get another cool little droid, and then we get another building montage with Pelly, because she has a Nabooian N1 starfighter, and this was the rumor I heard on the
Todd, you still with us?
Oh no!
What's the rumor?
I need to know.
Oh,
Todd. Oh, Todd, connect when you can.
Oh man. All right. So what were we talking about? Oh,
is the N1.
Oh, yes.
Starfighter, but it's like souped up now with shiny parts, and they basically tried to make it like a like one of those old old cars that it's like when you're driving and you see one of those like the cars with they have the historic like license plate. You're like, oh, look at that! Like it's such a classic car.
Yeah.
Like, that was everybody's reaction when one came out. Like it was just like, look at it. It's an oldie.
It's like running into like a 67 Jaguar. It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Although I'm glad you brought this up, because I think what's happening in this scene, it's like a contrast to what's happening with the armorer. You know, Din's, he's not doing so hot. The armorer is like, fall back on tradition. That's all we know. That's all that's kept us safe, and that'll guide you home until it doesn't. And he gets kicked out. So he's like, now what do I do? And then he spends some time with Pelimoto, and she's encouraging him to try something new. He comes back and he wants the Razor Crest. It's got to be the Razor Crest. This isn't the Razor Crest. I want my money back. He wants to return to what's old and safe and familiar. And Pelly's like, no, I got something better. Come on, at least let me talk about it. Like, let me show you what's so cool about it. And reluctantly, he's like, okay, fine, I'll play along. And then she, doesn't cut him any slack, forces him to participate and help out. And so he becomes slowly more invested into it. And we learn a bit more about Pelimoto, that while the armorer is constantly just wandering the galaxy because she has no home and she's always concerned for the tribe's safety, Pelimoto has never left Tatooine, and she's perfectly happy. She doesn't consider herself as losing out on anything. And
she dated a Jawa once.
She dated a Jawa once. They're nice and furry.
Very hairy.
Again, that continues the theme of she's not afraid to try something new and weird and different. Yeah. And, may not always work out, but she'll have lived and learned from the experience. And it goes into the N1 Starfighter again, where Din's not so sure that he'll like it at first, but he becomes more and more invested into it, and he starts to see the potential, and then he takes it down on the test ride. And Pelimoto's trying to like hammer the point home where she says, you're trying to fly it like a gunship. It's a starfighter. Fly it like one. And then he does. And we get one of my most favorite scenes in Star Wars, where this is probably the only time in Star Wars we've seen this scene just dedicated to the joy of flight. Any other time, besides, it's working, flight in Star Wars is basically just a routine thing. It's how you get from point A to point B. Unless you're fighting in a war, it's just like the most mundane thing possible. Going from planet to planet is like booking a flight or, getting a carpool somewhere. But here we see how he is just gunning this thing, and he feels this newfound sense of freedom that I don't think he's ever felt before. And it's Wizard. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So all of this just playing into, Pelimoto just showing him a different path to take, that embracing the new, not so bad. Maybe you should try it out.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, I love it. It is Wizard. Super cool.
I really hope that catches on.
Yeah, and like he's going so fast he gets stopped by the cops.
He does.
So we get the X-Wings stopping him and saying, hey, aren't you that guy? And he hits the sublights and he's out. He's like, peace.
That guy.
Once again, he doesn't have his transponders code, he should have put a Cassian on my gloves. I don't know what's going on. So anyways, we get that part, and then he kind of lands, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll take it. It's my ride." And then Fennec shows up, basically sets the tone, like, "Hey, I need to do this thing," and Mando's like, "Yeah, I'll do it for free." Boba, we're tight now, man. We good. But I got to go give this gift. Now, I thought going into chapter 6 here, I was like, clearly they're setting up for season 3. Like, we're going to see that side story. Well, if I had a bet, I would have said, we're going to see that in season 3. And then we're just going to pick up when Mando comes back to help Boba, but we didn't. And so we get Mando again in chapter 6, which is titled, what is the title here?
From the desert comes a
stranger. Yes. And this is directed by Uncle Dave. We love Uncle Dave.
Uncle Dave.
And so and again, our chat blew up after this episode because there's a lot to unpack here. But right off the gate, we get Mando back, and I would have lost all my Republic credits because I was like, no way, we're going to go see this. And yet, here he is, somehow finding Grogu's location. I don't know if that was communicated, but it doesn't matter. He is going there.
It was part of divorce court. He got the address.
Yeah, right. Yeah. These in cockpit with the controls. He finds.
God, you're breaking up. Can you repeat what you just said? Something about the cockpit.
I like the low cockpit shots of Mando. Yeah, I like those shots there. And so we get him and Heather. Who do we see right away off the gate here?
Did I have an emotional reaction? The answer is yes. And you just see his little yellow, silver and blue face, and then he talks at you. How do you not get excited when R2-D2 shows up? But then after the excitement, I was like, what? Wait. Because Todd, similar, you're like, wait, we're doing more Mando, and to then instantly go into finding Grogu, and it's great. And I mean, I think we just have to, I'm going to say this again for episode 7 too, but we just really need to give it up for R2. He is a no nonsense, get the job done droid, and he don't take guff from nobody.
He's a business, all business.
He's all business all the time. He's like, great, yeah,
Luke's
just
back.
follow me. I'll take you where you need to go. Don't worry about where I'm actually taking you.
I mean, this episode for me was like 45 minutes of just crying and screaming. So it was just great. Like, yeah. Definitely didn't expect the, Mando reuniting with Grogu and wanting to, give him the gift. I thought that was definitely going to be catch in season 3 kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, the middle chunk of this episode was just touched the heart. Like, it's just so great. And I mean, Luke just looked fantastic.
It was killer.
He looked great, last episode of Mando season 2, but they hired the deepfake guy. I don't remember his name, but I actually had to remind myself several times, wait a minute. That's not Mark Hamill. Like, that's somebody else. Just with the deep fake stuff.
Nor is it Mark Hamill speaking. That's all computer speak.
Yeah, it's all re-speaker.
But they had to have had like his voice in recording, right, to be able to do that.
I'm sure they had him read the lines for like a guide track so they can have like a reference to line up everything. But yeah, that was all AI generated.
That's wild.
Based on old recordings. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. You could tell like certain shots, you're like, okay, looks a little off, like
Yeah.
like the side views, but they were smart. You notice how when he talked a lot, they didn't show his face.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was what they were going to do the whole time, and I'm like, you cowards. But no, they had him in different lighting conditions. He was in like direct sunlight and some shadow, and he was moving around. And I'm like, okay, that looks pretty good. And there's a few wonky moments there, mostly when he talked, but they're like 95% of the way there.
Before we get too far, in case we
Yes.
miss it, we have to bring up Luke and Grogu going for a walk, and Luke helping Grogu forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just with genius.
Adorable.
Take a couple steps, fly through the air. Take a couple steps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So good.
Good times.
We also get a surprise visit from a surprise
Training.
guest.
Yeah, we did.
Ahsoka shows up.
That was also unexpected.
It was
Oh,
in an
shall
episode full of twists and turns and surprises. Did not expect to see Ahsoka whatsoever. Never mind sharing the camera with with Luke.
And I kind of liked how they didn't need to put in like a full conversation between the two of them. Like, she said, oh, when Mando's like, oh, I didn't expect to find you here. Like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, I'm an old friend of the family. You're just like, man, And then when she turns to Luke and she says, just like your father, just like, oh my gosh. Like, we can only imagine what the conversation was between the two of them. But I'm kind of glad that, like, Uncle Dave left that up to us to kind of fill in with our own brains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you didn't need to be mansplaining about that. Like, yes, she knew before he became Darth Vader. I'm sure Luke's like, okay, tell me. He's like,
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we'll see a lot more in the Ahsoka show.
Valid.
Possibility, yes. So, and I do like what she explains to Mando as he arrives, and she's like, "Are you doing this for him? Or are you doing this for yourself?" And I thought that was fantastic. It's another kind of growth moment as far as like, hey, you need to let him do his thing. You can't intercede with that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this brings up something I've thought a lot about since this episode came out. So can we get into it? I might rant for a bit here.
Rant.
You wrote something on Reddit. Go ahead.
All right. So I noticed a pattern of reactions to this episode after it came out. Luke doesn't know what to do about Grogu. Ahsoka's like, trust your instincts, echoing Obi-Wan. And he gives Grogu a choice. You can forsake the attachments that you have with Din and follow the way of the Jedi and get this lightsaber, or you can accept Din's gift, but that means you can't become a Jedi and you'll forsake their way, and our training will end. Now, a lot of people were saying like, this isn't Luke. This is terrible. He's repeating the mistakes of the Jedi that led to their downfall. What is he thinking? This is horrible writing. Blah blah, etc. And that something about that didn't sit right with me. So I did some research. I dove into pretty much everything George Lucas had to say about attachments, because I think a lot of the discourse around this has happened as a result of a misunderstanding about what attachments actually are. A lot of people, the way they talk about attachments sounds like they mean relationships or like emotional bonds of any kind. But that's not what George Lucas had in mind when he talked about attachments. He talked about the way of the Jedi being about perfect, selfless love and compassion. And to do that, you need to let go of all attachments. Now, attachments are not relationships. Georgia said that Jedi can have relationships, even non-celibate ones, as long as they weren't attachments. Attachments are not actually like care and concern for other people. Attachments are the way of the Sith, and it's about possessiveness and greed and control. The way of the Jedi is about letting go and giving up and not forcing things to be the way that you want them to be, but letting them be their own things. That's what compassion and selfless love is all about. The way of the Sith is always about trying to be greedy and gain more and control. And it's always, you need more power, more control, more pleasure. And it's about acquiring stuff. And it's the complete opposite of the way of the Jedi. That's what attachment is. And that's what Anakin fell prey to, both with his mother and with Padme, is that he was unable to let go of losing his mother and reacted in genocidal rage. And he was unable to let go of his feelings for Padme and had this whole secret relationship. And then later couldn't bear the thought of her dying whatsoever, even though it's going to happen eventually. And he, betrayed the whole Jedi Order in order to try to keep her alive. So that's the Jedi philosophy when it comes to attachments. There's something to be said for how the Jedi Order dealt with attachment. And the whole, like, you can't have families, no marriage. We got to scoop you up when you're 2 years old before you form any attachments with your parentals. We could say that they went too far, and that itself is an attachment with wanting to control the outcome of their students and make sure that, nothing could ever lead them astray. But you can even argue that led to their downfall. I don't think it was only that. It certainly didn't make any things easier for Anakin, but he would have, even if he was able to, marry Padme or whatever, he still would have, he was not able to let go of his attachment to his mom, and would have turned to the dark side just with that. And also, there's nothing to indicate that he would have been able to let go of the fact of Padme's death. So there's that. All I'm saying is Luke affirming the Jedi teaching on attachments and Ahsoka agreeing with him is not a character flaw. It's not a rewriting of their character. That is the true Jedi way. And as much as we would like to pretend that you could just become a Jedi, it's a hard path, and it's a choice that Grogu has to make. And Ahsoka even tells Din this. She basically gives him like a free lesson on what it means to be a Jedi. And she says, are you really here because of selfless love and compassion for Grogu, or are you here because, you want him back and you miss him and you don't want to let go of that? And he can't even say it. That's what's so great about this episode. There's inner conflict. He thinks he's there because he wants to make sure that Grogu is safe, but he knows he's safe.
Dude, I'm just dropping off a present. I'm just being a president.
I want to make sure that he has it. Yeah.
Boom.
I want to make sure that he's safe. He's in the safest place in the galaxy, this abandoned planet with Luke Skywalker. Like, there's no way that it's really about his safety. It's because
the place, though.
Yeah, we'll find out in, give or take 20 years. But right. It really was, the point being, it wasn't this kind of selfless concern for Grogu that Din came there. He missed him and he wanted him back, and he's way too attached. And it's telling Din and it's telling the audience that this is not the Jedi way. If Grogu really wants to become a Jedi, he's got to be willing to let go of what he fears the most. And we're not even, as audience members, are not able to let that go. We want Grogu to eat his cake and have it too. We want him to have both the lightsaber and the armor, right. And it doesn't work that way.
Why can't he be both, Aaron?
And what's fascinating is that you have this parallel journey with the Mandalorians, where Din has started to raise him as a foundling and has probably imagined this whole life where he raises him as a foundling and trains him in the way of Mandalore, which is all about loyalty and solidarity and this defense and connection of your tribe before all else. And that's completely the opposite of the Jedi way. So Grogu does have to make that choice, but at least he gets that choice. Luke is wise enough to actually give him that choice. And so all of y'all saying that Luke is, dooming the Jedi Order further, you might be right, but it's not because of this. We're at point B, Luke, right now. Point Z is, it's time for the Jedi to end. But we're not there yet. We're at like point B, and there's this huge gap that we haven't seen yet. So you can't say from what happened in this episode that that's the reason why he's on the way there. Rant over, but that there's a lot there.
Right. But we had the little argument reflecting what Obi-Wan and Yoda gave him the same kind of ultimatum, like, stay here, sweat it off a little bit, hot yoga in Dagobah, or but that plan really didn't work out. Like, he got bested and he lost a hand, and his friend got. It didn't go very well for Luke, even though he followed his heart. He followed his heart. He wanted to be with his friend. He also realizes that with Grogu, he sees that attracted just like Din is, and so there's those parallelism as well. And so he's like, yeah, I'm just going to let you give the choice, because you can feel his presence when he left. Grogu's like, he gives him that choice, and it's like, okay, well, there you go. Let's you be a really cool Jedi with Yoda's lightsaber, or you go back to Dad, with his cool armor. And so yeah, I dug it. Star Wars, it's so great. But yet there's more. So we get back. Din leaves. He's gonna go back to Tatooine. We're like, okay, cool. Now we're getting back. We see Boba Fett, but Boba doesn't talk. He just nods and finds our boy Cobb Vanth at Freetown. And so they have this conversation, and there's another theme here where they feel the freedom of what Din brought there. Kyra Dragon's dead. Everything's great. We got no Imperials, not bothering us now. We're Freetown. And Mando's like, he comes with a warning. He's like, yeah, but there's these pikes messing with the spice over here. And what you're gonna see more of this. There, where the spice and drugs and money, there's gonna be more power there. And the Weequay bartender's like, bro, we good, man. That's city folk stuff. We don't need that kind of stuff here. It's not gonna affect us. And that's such a big theme in Star Wars, where it's like, yeah, we're fine. We don't need to get involved in this fight, it's the same struggle Han went through. He's like, I'm good, man. I got my credits. I'm gonna run. You guys are cool. Bye. But I think it's kind of cool that we get the Stevens like, hey, I need your help. We need some help here, because it's gonna get there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we thought we were full. We were all full. Like, this episode's great. Let's put a little cap on it. But there's more. Heather, who shows up?
I don't know, some figure in a cowboy hat coming across the desert.
Did you guys see? I think it was a TikTok video, and it was like, the caption was Dave Filoni when writing episode 6, and it's Kylo just going more. it's like each character that's like, goodness, more.
I want to give you an analogy. And let me know what you think of it. But this episode, up to this point,
okay, I'm ready.
This is like Uncle Dave coming by, and he's got a great big bag of candy. and we're all gathered around Uncle Dave, and he's handing out candy to everybody. He's given us R2-D2 rolls. He's given us Ahsoka chews. He's given us Grogu gummies, and we're just gobbling it up. We're eating so much of it that we get sick, and we're just full up. We're collapsed on the ground in the come down off of a sugar high, and Uncle Dave, he's got this big beaming smile on his face, and he just loves what he sees before him. And he starts to go. He's getting his jacket on. He's heading out to his car. And we're like, no, Uncle Dave, don't go, please. And he looks around and he says, well, have you kids been good? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. He's like, okay, I might have something more for you. And he digs into his jacket pocket and out he pulls Cad Bane. I didn't think we were going to get anything more. I thought we got Luke, we got Ahsoka, we got R2, we got Cobb Vanth. We were just stuffed to the gills with everything that we could want from Dave.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were going to get this on top.
Yes.
It wasn't until like you had the wind chimes and then Cobb, like, you know, he turns and he looks out into the distance and then you just see, you know, again, the silhouette. And like at first, when I first saw that, I was like, who? Like who? And I thought maybe we would get a Kira appearance here. Like I thought maybe it was her with like a hood or like a cloak on. So I'm like, maybe it's Kira. But then like the second shot with the silhouette, I'm like, oh, oh, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. So vulnerability.
Yeah, no,
alert.
I grabbed what I was watching. Go ahead.
Oh, so vulnerability alert. I didn't really know Cad Bane. I knew him as a character, and obviously I've been in enough, you know, C2E2s and Star Wars conventions to be aware of him, but I didn't really realize who he was because I haven't technically been introduced to him yet. Or I have, but not enough to have it like deep down in my soul. But it was still really cool to watch it because I literally the entire time was like, is that a person? Is that animated? Is it an animated person?
Right.
So then I had to do a bunch of Googling. And then on Monday, when I went back to the office, or Thursday, Friday, whenever I watched it, and the next day I went back to the office, my coworker was like, oh my gosh, my brother and I had no idea who that guy was. And I was like, here, let me tell you all about him. Because I had done my appropriate Googling.
Like the wise sage you are, Heather.
So
this was perfect because I don't know if you've noticed, but Dave is just like, he's bringing everything into Star Wars and he doesn't care if you're caught up or not. Like he's just moving forward. And so this was the perfect opportunity because anybody who I have lots of friends who are watching this show and varying degrees of Star Wars knowledge and fandom. And so I thought, okay, this is the perfect litmus test. Whoever comes to me and says, hey, that blue cowboy guy was great. They've exposed themselves as a normie.
I kind of had the same kind of reaction as Aaron. I mean, I grabbed Trent's hand when we were watching. I'm like, that is Cad Bane. That's Cad Bane. Like right away. And he's like, sure? I'm like, yes. And like, as he got closer, you know, it was great. I mean, the only thing that Dave could have done better was like had Cad Bane ride a wolf or something. And then you would have just like, but you know, he basically says, hey, I'm working to fight for the Pikes. And it is, as long as you let the spice go through this town, we're cool. Don't mess it up, you know.
As long as the spice keeps
you know,
running.
I was
that boy's like, and like you know, because he had, you know, the brim was down and you were just waiting. Cobb Vance. And you're just like, yo, it's Corey Burton. No way.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it was great. And then obviously we knew that kid, the W kid, was gonna die. He was cannon fodder in the
punk.
minute he's trying to tell Mando to park his speeder somewhere else. I'm like, this dude ain't gonna last long. So gets a couple of shot. He gets like 4 shots. Cobb Vanth gets 1, and that's pretty much how the episode ends. And you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
And
There we go. All right.
He
So
looks great. Can we just talk about
Oh,
just
yeah.
a little tidbit here? Because I know this could become a rabbit hole quickly, but the fact that people literally in less than 24 hours were like, he wasn't blue enough and his face didn't look like this and he didn't look like that. It's just like, go. Can we be happy with anything, people?
No.
Like, oh my
No,
gosh,
we're
we have
Star
a
Wars
live
fans.
action Cad Bane. Like,
You're
Just
not allowed
we're,
to have
happy.
we're
fun.
Star Wars fans.
or Uncle Dave's
Yeah.
gonna take it all away. Like,
No,
come on.
this is narcissism to its finest. I mean, there was a guy that did a deep fake where he made it more Clone Wars-y, and it looks great. There's no question it looks great, but he also was getting a ton of hate for like him doing that. And it's like, it's this bipolar people that, you know, like, and then there was all the memes where like, here's a normal Count Dooku, and then they stretched him out
Oh my
to like
gosh.
Clone Wars Count Dooku, and it's like, here.
Those had me screaming when I saw them. They were so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and like, and again, like everyone was so up in arms about the Clone Wars stuff, and you know that's a whole nother story. Like, you got to watch Thunderbird, and that's why George liked the style and all this stuff. And then even with the Gendy stuff, like he does stretch them out, like they just look different. I mean, it's a cartoon, so when you have a live action or a cartoon going to a live action, there's a little bit more. You know, you have to look at a little bit more in universe. I thought he looked great. I thought it was great.
Like,
I mean,
don't you think Dave Filoni, who created this character, kind of knows what he's doing when it comes to like placing him in a, you know, like it's just, I don't know, man. Like people are wild.
Do these people like go to Disney and watch a parade and be like, that's not what they looked like in the movie?
honestly, I mean, as much as I love the 501st, like at the same time, you know, like sometimes they're like, oh, well, that buckle's not the right buckle. So who
I would
cares?
I would like to show you a photograph.
The kid. Yeah. Like the kid that sees you knows you're a Star Wars person, and that's all that matters. And I feel like if you look at that character, that is Cad Bane. Everything else doesn't matter. And it's like, oh, sorry, you used the wrong leather there, Dave. You did not get the duster right. It doesn't go all the way down to his boots. I'm sorry.
People were saying the hat was too small, so someone like cropped a meme where the hat was just a hat. It was nothing else.
Oh, I love
it. This is where you have to, like, again, it's the same thing with the deep fake Luke, where we, you know, as soon as we saw him, we're like, I mean, could have been better, you know. And now we got a better Luke in this one, and we're still not happy with how Cad Bane looks. And it's like, okay. Bro,
I mean, like, what are people gonna do when they see live action Thrawn? Like, because we know that's coming. Like, Star Wars.
We will be arguing about his skin color. We are arguing, you know, they're arguing about the teeth, they're arguing about his blueness, they're arguing about his whatever. You know, it is a representation of a universal thing. It is what it is. I'm sorry that he wasn't blue. You know, like that doesn't get, you know, like it, again, we're talking about the story and what he represents. And I think they did it. So let's move on. So All right, let's go to
I
chapter
would,
7. In the name of
before you do,
honor.
I have one thing to
Oh.
share. I would like to show you a photograph from my cellular telephone device, and it is a side-by-side comparison of Cad Bane and Lee Van Cleef. Let's see if this is visible. No, mostly my fingerprints. Whatever.
Yeah.
This is for the YouTube chat.
Wow, yeah.
I'll send it in our messenger chat so you can actually see it and not gag. But Cad Bane is just straight up Lee Van Cleef. Like George Lucas has said this.
Yes.
Like way back in Clone Wars, he came up with him and he basically told the team, "All right, you know Lee Van Cleef, make him blue and put him in the show." And that's what they did. But with the live action Cad Bane, it's like down to the mouth and the jaw and the lips and the teeth. It's like it's all Lee Van Cleef, and you wouldn't be able to get that if you just like CG animated the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was really, really important that they got that mouth right, and to do that, you have to have a prosthetic head. And as far as not being blue enough, like he's in direct sunlight, he's gonna look a little weird. And as we saw in the next episode, like in regular lighting, he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
Y'all need to quipping babies. That's 2 rants in an episode. Getting greedy.
Any more? Because we got to get chapter 7 here. In the Name of Honor, directed by Robert Rodriguez. Lots of action here. There's so much going on here. So finally, Boba Fett shows up. We're here. Boba Fett. Hi, Boba Fett. How are you? We are
it's your show. I forgot.
Oh, here you are. And so they're in the sanctuary that was bombed from the previous episode of Rest in Peace, Garsha. I hope she's still alive. But
sleeping with the fishes.
So they're talking about they need to make a stand. They need to make a stand. Where Boba's like, let's Jabba's palace and rethink this or whatever. And Mod's like, we gotta make a stand here. And so Mando's on top. He's like, yeah, we're here. We're here. Okay, we're gonna hang out. And then a bunch of Pikes show up, and we have a little peace negotiations, if you will, with our favorite Major Domo. What's going on here, Carla?
So, well, Boba's basically like, hey, we got to go and, meet them, right? Like, he wants to go out and fight. And, who is it? Who tells him to stay?
Was it Fennec? I
Was it
don't remember.
Oh, it's the mod girl.
Oh, well, that's probably why I forgot.
Darsha or whatever.
Drake, Shaz, Dark.
Yeah.
One of those.
Those characters, not my favorite. That's probably why I forgot. But yeah, they're like, no, stay here, like have them, make them come to you. And there's a little bit of a back and forth, and then he's like, okay, fine, we'll stay here.
Yeah.
But then he goes out to meet, or no, Mando shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, he returns.
Yeah. But I'm trying to remember like where it leads up.
Yeah, Mando's
to
there.
Where they get
he hanging. Yeah.
And then they decide to go out, and they kind of have like their turfs, like their little territories where they're like just keeping eyes on the Trandoshans and the not the Weequays, sorry. The Trandoshans, the Pikes, and the
Klatooinians.
Klatooinians.
The
Aqualish.
Aqualish, yes. So, they're in their own little sectors. And before we know it, there's a bit of an ambush going on. A little sneak attack. because the Pikes know that Boba's up to something, and they're like, "Nah, we ain't having this." So you see each of the groups, they get attacked, and it ain't looking too good.
No.
No.
R.I.P. Pork and
No.
chop. My big pigs.
Oh.
They got
So-
chased off a cliff.
I forget the timing of everything. But has R2D2 done amazing things yet?
So somewhere along the way, he drives Grogu back.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. We get one piece of information after the little negotiation. Cad Bane goes to the Pikes, and the Pikes basically spill the beans that the biker gang
Right,
didn't
right.
kill it was actually the Pikes. My bets were part of that or did that, but it was the Pikes, so they got rid of the kind of knew that was a this. But yeah, this is when the X-Wing arrives, and you think, oh, Luke drop off.
Oh no.
Not funny.
Oh, Todd.
And I think he's officially
I
gone.
think we lost him.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I brought... Oh, was he there? Oh, the only reason I brought it up, yes, we have the fateful return of Grogu, but I just love it because R2 is like, is Mando here? No? Okay, well, I gotta go find him. Like, again, just down
By
to
the book.
business. I love that droid.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. That's really all I had to share. Before we got too in the thick of the fighting.
Mm-hmm. And the Pikes, they bring out the big guns, quite literally. They have like these giant droidicas.
Mm-hmm.
They're called like Scorpionic assault droids or something. Apparently they're a
really?
deep cut.
I didn't know they had a name.
Yeah, apparently they're like a deep cut from like concept art that they made for Attack of the Clones that never went anywhere.
Fancy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, they got like this big red eye on them and the giant cannons basically. And it's not looking so good for our heroes.
Mm-mm.
Like they look like a HAL 9000.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is, I believe, the part of the show where I made a video of myself and I messaged it to the group being like, oh my gosh, what am I watching? And then I went into TV watching mode where I was wearing a hoodie. So the hood came up and I was protecting myself because I'm going to probably butcher it. So please forgive me. Chrysanthemum.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how we say it?
Mm-hmm.
Every time that dear sweet Wookiee got shot, my heart just broke into thousands of pieces.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if that is because of the Wookiee or because of the guy in the 501st who dresses up as Chrysanthemum. So now I feel like I have a slightly more emotional bond to that's just. But like he just kept getting shot and he kept fighting, and how he didn't die, I'm just surprised.
He's a tough boy.
Pure spite.
Pure spite. That's probably true. Anyway, okay. So things are not looking good, which seems like the perfect time for a reunion.
Mm-hmm.
So Moto shows up with her little droid driving droid. I don't even know what kind of droid it is.
Little rickshaw droid. I don't know.
Little rickshaw droid, yeah. Which was really funny. It just made me chuckle.
Hmm.
And there's dear sweet Grogu.
Yep.
And the Mando's like, kid, what are you doing here? And everyone's heart grew 3 times larger than it was supposed to.
He force jumps up to him. Yeah.
So, and then continual fighting takes place.
Yeah, there's a lot, and it kind of smears all over into a mess. But the big main strokes of it is the mod gang. They're running interference. They're distracting one of the droids, and Boba and Din are on cleanup duty with a bunch of the Pikes and one of the large droid tank things. Meanwhile, Fennec is running off to basically assassinate the leader of the Pikes, cut off command and control, and Boba, he ends up running back to Jabba's palace for some backup, and it arrives in the form of the Rancor that we all knew was going to come, but by this point had mostly forgotten about.
Kept Slave One in the garage. Said, no, not today.
Yep.
Oh man, I'm out of gas.
Fire
Why
spray,
would I bring a ship?
Rancor.
Why would I bring a ship?
Fire spray, Rancor.
Right.
Guess I'm riding a Rancor. I mean, this is the part of the show where it's just Dave and John on the floor with all their action figures and just like Boba Fett comes in riding the Rancor, tears apart the droid with his bare hands. It's glorious. Yeah, no, I love it.
It looks great. It looks great. I mean, I was joking in the chat. I just want a show about Rancors. Let's just have a show about Rancors. Tearing up stuff. It looks great, but then we have it's funny because now we have Grogu kind of stepping into his role, and he does it twice. Din's pinned down by one of the Scorpio droids or Super Battle Droids 2.0, Droidicus 2.0, and he stops the droid with the Force. Like, hey, Yoda, baby Grogu's stepping up, and then the Rancor kind of gets loose from Boba.
He has a King Kong moment.
He does have a King Kong moment, yeah, little King Kong, and now everybody's shooting at the Rancor, and Rancor's getting kind of mad. He's like, "What the heck, dude? I'm just gonna tear up this town." And Grogu,
they're emotionally complex creatures.
Yeah, I mean, Grogu just kind of steps in, man. Hold on, hold my beer, and
hold my sippy cup.
Just
you there, Todd?
I lost him again.
Oh, no.
Well, the communications disruption can only mean one thing: invasion.
Him down.
Invasion.
Yeah.
Todd, can you repeat your point about Grogu stepping in? Hold my sippy cup.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Grogu just stepping in and just like just really just saying, "Hey man, we got to take it down a notch and let's just chill out, And he literally goes up to the Rancor and calms him down and then touches him, and he takes Rancor take a snappy nap, and then Grogu's like, "Hey, I'm gonna join you. That sounds like a great idea. Let's just take a nap together."
Time.
Love this. The all the visuals here is just fantastic. It's great.
It's the whole like kind of like a mouse elephant thing, right? You've got the two major pieces, and it really just takes some small amount of energy to change the trajectory of a situation.
And quite frankly,
and naps fix everything.
Well, and quite frankly, we've seen this with Yoda. Judge me by my size, do you? And Grogu steps up the plate. I mean, he's like a little snack to the Rancor, And he's like, nah, I'm good. And he takes care of it. I love all of this. I think it's great.
Brave little Grogu.
Yeah.
And then,
Hmm.
I guess before then, we get our famous duel with Boba Fett and Cad Bane.
Dun dun dun.
Cad Bane stares down the Rancor, doesn't even flinch, just chases it off with fire, and they get down to their duel.
Very Western.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what I love about it is that Cad Bane, he's leaning into his strengths. He's the fastest gun in the West. There ain't no way that Boba Fett's going to outdraw him. And he proves that like 3 or 4 times when he keeps outdrawing him and shoots him. And Boba Fett realizes like he can't fight him like a clone. He can't fight him like a bounty hunter. He's got to fight him like a Tusken. And that's what enables him to win.
Mhm.
It's very
Which was
poetic.
really cool. Yeah.
Someone pointed out that the way he takes him down with the gaffy stick, it's the same like fight sequence that he's taught by the Tusken warrior.
Oh,
tribe.
I didn't pick up on that.
It's like move for move, the same thing.
Someone was thinking. That's perfect.
Pretty cool. But
Is this the
Cad
end for
Bane-
Cad Bane?
well, I don't know.
People were like, "Oh, when he was dead, there's beeping. He's alive." I wouldn't go that far. I think this is a fitting end for him. It would be satisfying if he remained dead. I think we have a little bit of beeping. It could be his life support giving out. It could be him calling for help. As far as I'm concerned, like he's dead until they need him, and it's proven otherwise. But I think we should just call it a day.
I think if we were to ever see him again, it could like in live action, if they were ever to go backwards and tell more stories,
Yeah.
and show up, there somehow. Like Kenobi is on Tatooine. Maybe he was on Tatooine at that point. Who knows? Like,
yeah, if they need him, they'll find a way. But I would be
Like
just
Palpatine.
fine if this was the last we saw of him in live action. Was a fitting end.
Well, and Boba doesn't. Then it cheapens Boba's victory over him.
Yeah.
yeah.
We need some death in Star Wars, or else it's what does it even mean?
It's kind of like I'm gonna use my wrestling here. It's kind of like when you keep on tapping out of the dude's finisher, and then the finisher doesn't become that powerful. It's like, oh, you could just tap out of it now? No, the finisher is the finisher, and you're done. 1, 2, 3, you're done. And so it would cheapen the idea if he was still alive, that Boba didn't get the best of him. And again, it's a character growth thing where, like you said, he can't fight him like a bounty hunter. He's got to fight him like a Tusken. And like Carla said, it's the same move that he got bested on with the chief priestess there, so it's like it's got to mean something, and he's got to have that hero moment in a sense, and he does.
If nobody dies, it's Star Arguments, not Star Wars.
Wow.
Quote of the episode.
We'll have a separate podcast called Star Arguments.
Star debates.
Star debates, that's better.
Yeah, well, clearly that is what Star Wars fans do the best. So what do you guys say? So I'm a little disappointed in the end credit scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of thought Vanth was alive because you could see in the shot, like he shoots him in the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that is lethal for stormtroopers, but for regular people, it is fine. You're going to be fine. So I kind of thought Cobb Vanth would be alive. At first when Boba mentions the Bacta tank, I was thinking Chrysanthemum all the way, but maybe Chrysanthemum already got the Bacta bath, but Vanth is now in the Bacta bath. So I don't know. It just doesn't close for me.
I have a theory, Todd.
All right, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I don't think Cad Bane wanted to kill him in the first place. He was not sent there to kill Cobb Vanth. He was there to make sure that Freetown stayed out of the way. And it was only because the deputy got a little jumpy that Cobb Vanth even drew in the first place. And so I think the first shot to Cobb Vanth was just to like take him out of the fight. I don't think Cad Bane wanted to kill him. Deputy, he goofed, so out he goes. But and if you watch that scene again, like the townsfolk run out and they've got like medical supplies and stuff like that, and so it's like, yeah, he's gonna make it. With him in the Bacta tank, and then Thundercat giving him a new arm or whatever, I think they're setting him up for Rangers of the New Republic. Could be. This is wild speculation, but with Gina Carano out, I think they're like, what do we do with the show? But seeing as how everybody responded well to Cobb Vanth as the Marshal, I think he's in a good. Hair. Yeah, I think he's in a good position to kind of take the lead on that show if that's the direction that they want to go. And for Cobb Vanth, it's like, well, with Boba in charge and the Pikes are out and the Crate Dragon's not a thing, Freetown's probably fine for now. Like, if you want to go out and help the New Republic with Ranger stuff, like, go for it. Wild speculation. We don't know a thing about that show, so it may not even happen. But that's my theory.
Okay. So we have a question from Conversations here.
Oh.
Without the reveal of the big bad at the end of Book of Boba Fett, do you think season 2 or a storyline in Mando season 3, a syndicate coming back to Tatooine to overthrow Boba?
It's possible.
And that's I obviously would love to see Cad Bane. We got to see him. And my other wild theory was Kira shows up, because that brings in a larger crime syndicate with the Crimson Dawn. I don't know. I just feel like you should have had a little bit more of the galaxy, and we didn't get to see that. It kind of closes up what happens in Tatooine, and we didn't get to see a bigger galaxy picture. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm kind of with I don't think the Pikes were the big bad. They were just some goons getting in the spice. So maybe we see a little bit more of that, or like you said, Aaron, it sets up a little bit more for with Cobb Vanth as whatever Galactic Rangers of the Republic or whatever it wants to be, so.
Or a new season of Westworld. Who knows?
Maybe.
Robo Cowboy time.
That's right. Exactly. All right. So we're wrapping it up here. So what did you guys think of the overall series? Let's start with Heather. What did you think?
It was a slow start. Definitely had a big bang near the end, but not the same slow start that I feel like Mando had. And it's a little sad that you basically had 2 episodes out of 7 that didn't really have anything to do with Boba Fett. So why were we even talking about a season 2 when they couldn't even give us a full season of just Boba Fett's a little comical in my brain, but definitely enjoyable. I think the episodes with the Tuscans and the Heritage, that all of that was just pure gold. And then I just loved, again, the open conversation about Mandalorians and the lore around the Mandalorians, which obviously Boba Fett is wearing that armor, so he's a part of that conversation. So, and I'll take R2 anytime I can get him.
There you go. Very good.
He knows all the secrets.
He got the secrets. Carla, what say you?
I think individually, the episodes, well, not all of them, but for the most part, individually, the episodes were great, but cohesively as a story, it just wasn't like, I don't know, like I can't figure out like what the whole point of all this was, especially because it's the Book of Boba Fett. Like in terms of Boba Fett, like what was the purpose of all this? Like I get we had the character development, right? Like at the beginning, but I don't know. Like I don't know, what did that do for like that last episode? I don't know. It just seemed a little like kind of all over the place.
Yeah, for me, I thought it was very uneven. There's some stuff that was really, really good, and other stuff that was just like really bafflingly confusing. And what's frustrating is that it seems like all the parts were there, but they just weren't fitting together. Mm-hmm. And I've been thinking a lot, just trying to make sense of it. Like, why did this happen when we have all the same people working on Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2, and that was great and much more cohesive than what we got here. So what could have happened? Wild speculation incoming. Theory number 1. Favreau just wasn't that into it. So Favreau very famously remade The Jungle Book, took this old Disney tale, took it off the shelf, dusted it off, gave it a fresh coat of paint, and what a wonderful and beautiful and fantastic film it is. And then the studio's like, hey, can you do that with The Lion King? And I don't think he really wanted to. I don't think he really believed in it the way that he believed in The Jungle Book. And so he just turned in a passing grade. It's clearly not his best work. And that one was for the studios. It made a ton of money, but I really don't think he liked it.
It's like what happened with Peter Jackson and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Same thing with Iron Man and Iron Man 2. I just don't think he was that jazzed about Iron Man 2. So he's like, here you go. And it's possible that he just wasn't that excited about the Book of Boba Fett. I'm not sure why that is, because he and Filoni are just such great nerds and fans of Star Wars. Although it could also be that the conditions in which he had to write the Book of Boba Fett basically made it impossible for him to do a really great job with it. So he's just like, here you go, figure it out. Which brings me to theory number 2. I think there were issues with Robert Rodriguez / budgetary issues. And my kind of reasoning for this, it's not proof, this is wild speculation. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I think these are all professionals at the top of their craft there, and there's a lot of great craftsmanship put into the show, but not every person is fit for the right role, even if they've done other good work beforehand. And I think poor Robert Rodriguez is probably one of those people. He was brought in for Mandalorian season 2 for that episode with Boba Fett, and it was fantastic, but he wasn't running the show. Now he's the showrunner for Book of Boba Fett. Why is that? I think because either someone owed someone else a favor, or Disney overall as a company had a really bad year that year with 2020 and the pandemic, and they're losing all their money to the parks. And you also had a transition in place with Bob Iger and Bob Chapek. And that was kind of stretched out because of the pandemic. And Robert Rodriguez very famously made El Mariachi for like $30 and some bottle caps and some pocket lint. And I think they brought him in because he's very good at getting good results quickly and cheaply. And I think that's what he did with Book of Boba Fett. And you can see this. There's some parts that look like really cheap and rushed and not good at all. And then you have like the train attack scene, which that could be in a Star Wars movie. Looks great. You have Luke. Looks great. You got Cad Bane and the Trandoshans, for Pete's sake. They look great. So it seems like they're stretching the budget and putting it in places where it really counted. And then other places it just kind of fell limp. I also think part of the issue is that this probably could have been 2 seasons. I think you could have had a whole season with it's just the return of Boba Fett, where he's climbing out of the Sarlacc and spending time with the Tuskens and becoming a different person. And we actually see that transformation from one person into another. I don't think we really got that. They were talking a lot about it and telling us that he's different and that he changed, but we didn't actually see that. It didn't feel earned. I think that contributed a lot to the problem. I'm going to borrow a phrase from my father. I can't repeat it here, so I'll paraphrase it. But you can't stuff 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag. If you try, it's just not going to work. And I think that's what they did here. And I don't think Robert Rodriguez could really pull it off.
His 3 episodes are the weakest out of the 7.
Yeah.
I mean, the 7's the better one because we got a lot of Rancor fighting. It's great. It looks great, you know. I didn't like the back to tank gimmick. I like flashbacks, but I'd rather them just, like you kind of said, set that up at the beginning and just let's start at the Sarlacc and work our way towards the present. You know, it's like it just became like it's story time in the back to tank because he's dreaming, and it's like it works once, but you keep on going to the well, and then they literally have to tell us he's 100%, so we're not getting any more flashbacks. It's just I don't know. It's just,
I like the idea of it, and I like that they're trying new things in Star Wars, because by God, we always complain about how we want new things in Star Wars, and then we complain the moment anything changes slightly. Right. I'll even go to bat for the mod Vespas. I think it was a great attempt at just trying to inject something cool and new into Star Wars. I think the same thing with the back to tank. It's like it could have worked. All the pieces are there. They're just not quite fitting, and it needed another draft or two to just tighten all the bolts and get it into fighting shape. And we just never really got there.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've never really had flashbacks until Force Awakens, so I'm all about flashbacks because, you know, again, we have the technology to do that and go back to these different times. I'm totally for that, but I'm kind of with Carla in this one. I mean, we just didn't get a lot of Boba Fett, and that's where I'm like, it should have been called Boba Fett and Friends, or I don't know. It just, you know, I've been dreaming about this since I was, you know, 10 years old, basically. And I'm just like, I said this in our thing with 1 and 4. I mean, they barely gave any time with the Sarlacc. Like, this is a big thing. This is a huge thing that you have it all right there. And Robert Rodriguez and Jon Favreau blew right past it. And it's like, dude, why are you rushing? This is his own show. I mean, I literally could have had an hour of him fighting through the Sarlacc. Like, you know, and why 7 episodes? Like, just, I mean, this is Disney. Don't tell me about budget stuff, Aaron. This is Disney. They have money. Let's be real.
They do have money, but let's be real, Todd. Yes. Star Wars is not their favorite kid.
That's true.
It's come a long way. We're getting there, but it's not their favorite kid.
I understand. I know. But I mean, they bet on Mandalorian and it kicked tail. And now that, you know, and the other thing, speaking about their favorite kid, there's no merch. What are they doing? I mean, we talk about the sales the sales giant of merchandising, and they have no merch about the Book of Boba Fett. I mean, it's stupid, man. It's just I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like they're writing the name of the Star Wars and writing the name of Boba Fett, but yet they don't want to invest in him. And I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So it's good. Like, you know, again, these 3 episodes, 2 of them don't have Boba Fett, and we got a lot of good Star Wars out of it. It's just a shame that we couldn't get more Boba Fett injected in it a little bit, you know? So, I mean, the one thing that's interesting about Boba Fett, he is a connector. He's connector to the Clone Wars. He's a connector to, you know, Cad Bane. He's a connector to Luke Skywalker. There's all these little connections that he is, but I don't know. I think it's just, it was not as greatly executed as it could have been.
Yeah. I do find it interesting. I have lots of friends. You might be surprised. Wow. And I have lots of those friends are not Star Wars fans, which might even be more shocking. But pretty universally, all of them loved the show. Like, they were just along for the ride, and I don't know, maybe they're the target audience, but it sucks to care so much about something that you love. And I very much tried to appreciate what the show for what it was and to take it on its own terms. But even then, I just can't help but see like how much better it could have been, and to be like, man, what a missed opportunity.
I think it's a miss. I think this is yeah. I mean, I honestly think, I hope Boba Fett shows up in Mando 3 and takes over a couple episodes to be like, mine, you know? So, yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, they're totally setting it up so that they'll meet again.
Yes. There's obviously there's a huge trust with them. The fight scene with them kind of, you know, making a stand at the OK Corral is fantastic. It looked great. They stuck together. I totally dig it. And it sets it up for, again, this new kind of Mandalorian. Like, I feel like that's something that we could see better. So I'm hoping, you know, it's kind of those things like, in as his own, it doesn't really stand up, but hopefully we get some more connectors in Mando season 3 or somewhere else, you know, some other shows that we are coming up.
Well said.
All right. Well, there you go. That was our main topic.
Ooh. 2 hours just flew by like nothing.
That was a doozy.
I think it was well earned. But yeah, let's go ahead and fly through the rest of this episode, because my God. All right. Stick with us. We're going to pay some bills. Audible, you know what it is. audibletrial.com/WSTR. Give them a click, give them a visit, give us some coin. Then patreon.com/WSTR Media. We have some wonderful patrons underwriting the show. Jeremy Myers, Scarif Scuttlebutt, Elena Strikes, Nicholas Schaefer, Rural Farm Boy, David Sager, and Kevin Abato. Every single month, they are enjoying exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else, and they are throwing some bones our way to make the show run. We love you. Thanks for your generosity, continuing in and day out, month to month. We love you. Thank you so much. Okay, that's our bills paid. Heather, it's time for some news.
News. I've got news. Okay, friends, family.
And she sings too.
I do. I don't sing well, but I do it. Digitalspy.com has a headline that reads, Star Wars casts Vikings star in Ahsoka show.
Oh my God.
I know, but don't get too excited because his role still isn't known. So Ray Stevenson, he's best known for appearing in the popular historical show Vikings, has now been tapped by Lucasfilm and Disney Plus to join Ahsoka, the new Star Wars live action series. As we know, the show's going to follow Ahsoka. We've seen her in Mando. We've also now just chatted about seeing her in Boba Fett. But at this point, it's not confirmed who Stevenson is playing. The Hollywood Reporter wrote that he may be playing a villainous admiral, but not the commander that Ahsoka is seeing. This is his first Star Wars project. But he definitely has a potential bad guy look to him if he played a Viking. I don't know. I'm making up crap at this point, guys.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's good. I love all this stuff because like nearly half the casting rumors are never confirmed by Lucasfilm until like the day before this thing comes out. It's like, here's all the cast. So yeah, I mean it's great. I mean, I it's exciting to see some of the stuff, but we need a little bit more from from Lucasfilm.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of Star Wars shows, IndieWire.com headlines every upcoming Star Wars series, all that you need to know.
Everything?
So
Everything?
literally everything.
Wow.
I mean, we are talking, what's that guy's name? Ewan McGregor. Apparently he's coming back for this Kenobi show.
Are we sure?
Wood. All the way to season 3 of The Mandalorian. Oh, and apparently there's some new projects in the work. Okay, I just knocked myself on the head to be like, knock on wood, and I kind of hurt myself. Okay,
oh no, don't do that.
It's fine.
Concussed.
It's all good. So who knew that when George Lucas introduced audiences to Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, and the beloved Han Solo, it would spur into a multi-billion-dollar empire. So we've had theatrical releases. We now have the telephone streaming platform Disney Plus. There's the upcoming announced entitled Star Wars films and Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron releasing in late 2023. That's a lot of words, guys. But the decade-spanning franchise is venturing out with a slew of new series. Okay, we've got more Mando coming. Again, this alleged Obi-Wan Kenobi situation. Is it coming? Is it not coming? Oh, wait. I do think it's coming May 25th.
Yeah.
Did we get a trailer? Not so much.
Hey, but
you called it.
I called it.
Should have bet on that.
Should have bet on it.
So, but we've got a couple other shows that have been teased. We've got Andor, the Acolyte, and as Aaron previously mentioned, Rangers of the New Republic. So that's all happening, and I could go into each individual show, but the main topic took 2 hours, friends. So I'm going to repeat IndieWire.com. If you find this article about the upcoming shows, they've got this great little breakdown of all of the different shows, kind of talking us through a couple things that are known so that you can be completely up to speed and ready to go. There's a Lando show. I didn't mention. Okay, hold on. Let's take 30 seconds. Star Wars, A Droid Story. It's an animated feature with our beloved R2 and C-3PO. Okay.
I honestly think this is what Anthony Daniels was mocapping last week.
Probably.
Yeah.
So lots of new shows. Any that you're most excited about? Or is no one crossing their fingers anymore until it comes out?
Andor, hands down. And Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited for
Andor and like 1, 2.
Okay.
Based on what we know about Rangers of the New Republic, where it's like a group of X-Wing pilots, I just hope it's some like classic Thunderbird, Star Fox nonsense, where it's just like it just can't be starfighter action the whole time.
Just zooming around space.
Yeah.
Zoom.
I love that chatter that they have over the comms with all the X-wing fights. If it's just a whole show of that, I'd be tickled pink. I'd love it.
Excellent. All right. Well, we've talked about the new shows, so now it's time to talk about potentially a new Star Wars trilogy. So giantfreakingrobot.com. No, you heard me. Giantfreakingrobot.com. Next Star Wars trilogy of films in the works. So franchise, we know it, we love it, and it's a thing. We've talked about the shows, blah, blah, blah. So the latest piece of Star Wars trilogy news comes from a Vanity Fair article, or maybe not an article, but potentially, of Joanna Robinson, who talked about the Ringerverse podcast. She says that Disney and Lucasfilm are working on another trilogy of films that will follow the sequel trilogy, which just wrapped a few years ago. While it's not clear that there would be a carryover in terms of characters, there seems to be an active discussion about how the franchise might shift its storytelling methods and character arcs. Did I just hear we're not talking about the Skywalkers anymore? The latest word wasn't just around the idea of a new Star Wars trilogy, but there's some feeling about which direction it would go. During the discussion, things were talked about the new Jedi Order for the future. So looks like lots of conversation is happening here about this new trilogy. Dead silence. So basically what I'm hearing from everybody is lots of Star Wars content is coming, potentially after the sequels, new characters, different paths.
I mean, they've been kind of teasing a new trilogy for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ryan Johnson's supposed trilogy. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah.
I mean, we know Taika Waititi is working on something, but I believe that's not a trilogy. That's just a one-off film.
I have one word.
Oh.
Outline. If they friggin' outline this thing, it can work.
Yeah.
Please outline it, and anything can work. I think, like you said, there's, we have the Kevin Feige one, we got the Taika Waititi one, we got a couple other, and we got the Rogue Squadron from Patty Jenkins. Individual films are fine. I'm cool with that. And if they do a trilogy, as long as they outline it out and hit the major beats from start to finish, it can be gold. It will be gold. It's gotta be detailed out.
Don't blow it.
Yeah, you already blew it. Don't blow it again.
You blew it.
No, I think that's your warning, Disney. You're giving us a lot of content. We don't always need a lot. Sometimes it's about quality over quantity. And that, my friends, is news of the week.
Oh my gosh, Mike Slam.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Nice.
Nicely done. That means only one thing. It's time for Cantina Chat. All right, the part of the show where the top. Carla, Cantina Chat. What's going on?
Oh my gosh. So obviously wrapped up Book of Boba Fett. It was fun to watch. For you guys who are Critical Role fans, been watching The Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime. It's basically they took like a chunk of one of their campaigns and they turned it into an animated show, and it is great. Like, I haven't even watched that campaign, and it's great. So that's been a lot of fun. Then still plugging through Fallen Order because I still haven't finished it.
Get out of
Persistence
Dathomir.
reveals the path.
Well, I'm in Dathomir now, so we're getting there.
You're getting there.
But I'm prepping myself because I've got 2 video games coming in the next 2 weeks. Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, and then Elden Ring, which I'm really excited for. That drops on my birthday. Which apparently I'm going to be really frustrated with because it's like the same people that make the Dark Souls games.
Mhm.
So I've been warned because I haven't played any of those games. It's like, yeah, just get ready to rage quit constantly. But it's
Do you
fine,
think
'cause
Fallen
the game
Order
looks
is hard?
beautiful. I know. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
You'll do
And
great.
then obviously the biggie for me this past weekend was the Rings of Power teaser trailer. Now, if it wasn't super, super late, I would dive into this, but I'm not going to do it right now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little concerned, but
Oh.
save for another time. Yeah.
I think you need to see a little bit more. There wasn't one spoken word in that whole teaser.
Yeah, but just based on like what we've been given so far, because apparently they told like Tolkien's estate told Amazon, hey, you can take like references, but you cannot pull direct like stories and whatnot from the Silmarillion. And the Silmarillion is a very like overview of a lot of stories, like basically compacted to all have it all make sense, to give you the history and the lore of Middle Earth, and how the creation of Arda and all that stuff came to be. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little concerned with, from what I've seen, it doesn't feel very Lord of the Rings to me, but maybe that's just because of what we've been given previously. Like, I'm trying to not judge it before I watch it, but it's just really hard because it's like, it's one of my favorite things in the whole world. And like, I just,
Don't ruin it.
because just Peter Jackson he nailed it. It's a masterpiece, and it's just like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, it was a little underwhelming too. Like, I thought we were gonna have a little bit more to it, but
That's too bad.
We'll see.
When's that coming out?
September 2nd. And I'm like complaining, but my butt's gonna be on the couch September 2nd watching it
Yep.
every single week, or binging, or however they decide to release
Yeah,
it.
have they decided the release strategy yet? Do we know anything about that or no?
I haven't heard. I'm
Okay.
hoping it's not a binger, because I just don't like to watch shows that way. I like to have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But I think with Amazon, they throw it all out there. I think like Netflix does. I think.
Okay.
So
Get back
we'll
to us on
see. Yeah. But that's my spiel for this week.
Sounds good. Todd, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I finished that. So you and Armand had that podcast on Syndicate about QAnon.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched that on HBO Max, like what was it, Into the Storm or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally didn't know anything because I don't watch news. I don't watch anything. And it was pretty fascinating. I was pretty blown away by all this information war type thing, and
It's wild.
it's wild. And it's like QAnon in itself is like a conspiracy theory built on a conspiracy theory. And I mean, that rabbit hole's deep. And I thought the guy did a really good job of the narrative. I definitely agree with you guys where like it could have been probably one episode shorter or something, but at the same time, it's really fascinating. Like these, like most of these guys like are like really circle around like three dudes, and they're building this whole army, and there's QTubers. I never knew there was these people that did YouTube shows on QAnon and breaking down the Q drops. And like, I literally had no idea. I'm completely oblivious to this. And I was like, this is crazy. this is crazy. And I totally missed this when it was happening. And I think that's probably why my reaction is like, why are people like storming the Capitol? And like, I didn't get it at all.
Yeah.
And it all kind of that, but like as it built, it was like, oh, okay, now this kind of makes sense. And it was very, very interesting, and how you control the media and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So very fascinating. So I watched that, finished that, which was cool. And watching Peacemaker on HBO Max too. That's a great show. And so that's wrapping up next week, or at least season 1's wrapping up next week. So looking forward to that. And yeah, that's about it, man. Been kind of slow. Super Bowl was yesterday. That was nice. It was fun. Seeing a good game and not seeing our Obi-Wan trailer. Very sad. We saw Ewan McGregor, but not the trailer. No. So basically, out of all the commercials, you have to buy Bitcoin and you got to buy an electric car. So just if you wanted to do that, you want to be influenced, get into Bitcoin and buy an electric car.
They had the Sopranos commercial. It was great.
Yes.
It was great.
I was promised Kenobi.
That was a great meme. Love the meme. Aaron said the meme. I was like, yes. So yeah. So there you go.
Heather, what have you been up to this week?
Well, work's been absolutely insane. We have lost a few people in our department, so some of that responsibility has been put onto my plate, which is always awesome. Did get to hang out with my doppelganger name birthday. My friend Heather had her little birthday shindig, so we did a double feature of Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, and Jumanji, The Next Level, which if you've not seen the new Jumanji movies, stop everything you're doing and watch them now. They're hysterical. So that was tons of fun. And then back in, I don't know, early January, maybe it was, end of December, they did the Harry Potter reunion thing. So that prompted me to be like, welp. So I am rereading Harry Potter, and after each book read, watch the movie. So
wow.
I just finished Chamber of Secrets, book dose. So I'm get myself set up to watch the movie, and then I'm doing a book and a movie a month. So that way,
dang,
I can fill in. Oh, it's not
Nice.
they're kids' books. So it's not too long until I get to Goblet of Fire. That's a hefty little book there. But yeah, so I'm in my next semester of ASL too. So
cool.
Go me.
Yay.
Go you.
Awesome.
That's it.
Fantastic.
Aaron?
Yeah, over the weekend, I built a lightsaber / microphone. For those watching the YouTube stream, you might be like, oh my god, where's this mic? It's not there. It actually is. It's right here. If I can get it down. There we go. Right there. Yeah, I bought this DIY microphone kit and just had to spend a day soldering all the components onto it. And it sounds great. I can have it out of the way of the video and have my hands free. And yeah, it was a lot of fun and a great learning experience. I put on Star Wars music the whole time. It was
Nice.
aces. I love it.
That's
I also like redid my whole audio setup today. I didn't plan to, it just kind of happened, but it's way too technical, but I figured out basically how to make my audio interface work the way it was actually supposed to. And I solved a bunch of problems that I've just been dealing with up to this point. Then I ended up creating some new problems, and like the beginning of the stream was rocky and weird, but anyway, it should be fine going forward, but
everything's fine. Don't worry.
Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's pretty much it as far as nerdy weird stuff that I'm into.
Awesome.
So with that, thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. This one was stacked. We went a really long time, so thank you for your patience. Thank you, YouTube chat, for hanging out with us all this time. You can find us on the socials. Heather at Hawk Awesome, Carla at Carla Marie Giac, Todd at Tizad, myself at Aaron Julian. We're part of the Red 5 network. You should check them out. And of course, our own handle at WSTR Media. Comment, tweet, rate us on Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star rating, we'll throw some swag right into your face. You can catch our entire back catalog of episodes at podcast.wstrmedia.com. And we are brought to you by our merch store, store.wstrmedia.com, and our Patreon, patreon.com/WSTRmedia. And of course, if you want to join us in the YouTube chat, Monday nights, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time-ish, livestream.wstrmedia.com. Come check us out. And again, we want to thank you so much for all of your support these last 5 years. We're excited for this next year to come. So please, if you have any ideas for a show, or you would love us to interview someone, and not just, hey, interview Dave Filoni, wouldn't that be great? But like, you actually know somebody and can get us like the hookup with someone that you think we should interview, hit us up, mailbox at wstrmedia.com. You can also call and leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on an upcoming episode. Ro, if you're out there, we have your voicemail. We've been sitting on it for now 2 weeks. We will play it. It just didn't happen this week. Next episode, 258. We are continuing our John Williams Jamboree, and we're going to be talking about the sequel trilogy. So please stay tuned for that. All right, y'all. There's only one way to end this episode. Now this is podcasting.